Is now a good time to buy? Did you miss the boat if you're a home seller? We're going to be going over all that and more in today's market report. Key takeaways here. So this is like the overall theme that I want you to keep in the back of your minds as we're going through this. Now, I'm going to do this presentation twofold. We're going to first look at the housing market from a national level, and then we're going to take a closer look at Williamson County here in Austin, Texas at a local level and what the housing market is looking like. So key takeaways here from, again, a national perspective is that inventory levels are continuing to rise. Sellers are now adjusting to the new normal being that now we're shifting from it being a crazy seller's market to more now of a normal market that's healthy and beneficial for both buyers and sellers. Housing demand has softened greatly compared to last year. So last year we were in a crazy seller's market where there was multiple offer situations and you're pretty much waiving all the other contingencies and possibly a home inspection to even be competitive in your offer. That that level of demand has now changed, and we're no longer seeing that. Housing activity still feels fast-paced and expensive. Okay, so I pulled this report. Realtor.com every month does a housing market trend report that I take a look at so I can see what the market is doing from a national perspective, a national scale, and try to and pretty much summarize the information for you so you don't have to read this long report. So a key thing here is this middle paragraph, and it's reemphasizing that we're coming into terms of a more balanced market, meaning we're going to have more inventory, not only from new construction and home builders, they're finally catching up, and we're starting to see an uptick in more inventory. But traditionally, the summer months, that's been like the bread and butter for home sellers to put their homes on the market, and we did see this past summer a huge uptick on more homes on the market that were from not new construction but actual home sellers, like first-time home sellers as an example, adding to the overall inventory on a national level. So with that level of inventory and there being more options and choices available for the month of July, we saw price reductions for the first time. Price reductions. So to put that into perspective, between this time last year and this year, we're no longer seeing these crazy price hikes, these crazy, just almost throwing a number out there and seeing if it sticks. We're starting to see that kind of level off. Okay, without getting too much in a tangent there. So demand is definitely softening compared to last year. So between last year and this year, completely different ball game, completely different like kind of outlook from what buyers are seeing. So let's look at some graphs to kind of help kind of paint you that full picture. So here we have active listing counts. Again, this is kind of looking at it from the scope of like the last 6 years. So this yellow line here is 2022. So, and the green line below is 2021. So between this time, July of this year and July of last year, we saw a 30% more homes going on the market for sale, active listings, right? That's a humongous jump between July of this year and July of last year. One thing to note is that these lines up top here, that the blue, orange, and red lines, those are pre-pandemic levels. So we're on this upward trend, but we're not near the amount of homes that were on the market pre-pandemic. To showcase that We've been in a housing shortage crisis for some time. It didn't happen overnight. This has been years in the making. But we've seen from June to July this huge uptick of more homes going on the market, which is historically correct. We've always seen the summer months, especially from June to July, uptick in homes going on the market, adding to the overall inventory. Okay, so we went from an inventory perspective. Now we're kind of moving into newly listed homes. Okay, newly listed homes meaning, hang on here. Okay, so from active listed homes to newly listed homes. Difference being active, they could have been on the market and still be on the market for months and months and months until the home finally goes on for sale. Newly listed is super recent. Now, every month when homes go for sale, that's what they're tracking here, and that's what we're going to talk about. So this one's a little bit hard to see because all the lines are kind of jumbled up together. But July of this year, 2022, we saw a decrease in newly listed homes compared to last month. So what's that? So what does that mean? That means sellers may feel that the market is shifting. The ground is moving underneath their feet, and now they're feeling like, hey, maybe I missed my window, and now they're gonna kind of reverse gear a little bit. And it goes on to further say, uh, Fannie Mae does surveys every month and asks home sellers what they think as far as time wise if it's a good time to sell. And between May of this year to June, they saw a 15% drop in like seller sentiment, meaning that sellers don't feel like right now is a good time. So between May and June, that that fell by 15%. So in other words, sellers are kind of a little worried, a little on the fence if they should sell or not. Hang on, my phone is just alarm, alarm, alarm. I'm gonna mute that. Okay. So that's adding to the concern. And one reason why that might be is mortgage rates, right? That's been all over the news. Mortgage rates go skyrocketing and jumping points from like jumping points from the last 6 months, the most it's ever jumped. But if you look at rates historically, you'll see that it's still overall it's still a great rate in terms of borrowing money, and there are ways that you can reduce that rate by buying it down. And we'll get into that a little bit later as far as when we kind of go through a little Q&A. Now, one thing I really want to point out is this very last line when it talks about substantial equity cushion. So what that means is that if you owned your home for 5 years or more and you've built up equity, and I know you've built up equity because the last 10 plus years, home values have gone up and up in terms of appreciation. So having that equity gives you cushion to feel comfortable if you want to sell, if you need to sell, you're still going to come out on top. Now, will you get the price you would have got if you sold last year? No. The market has changed. It's not like that anymore. But you will still get a pretty penny compared to what you paid for it when you first bought it. So, right here in big and bold, signs of softening price growth are emerging. So we're starting to see price reductions. We're starting to see more sellers giving more incentives to buyers to attract more buyers, right? In the form of helping out with the closing costs, or maybe giving them cash at the closing table so they can help buy down their rate. Now we're starting to see that more than sellers getting everything they want and not have, and to do very little, because we're transitioning from a seller's market to a more normal market, and hopefully in a normal market, the frenzy of multiple offers, the frenzy of inventory being snapped up like that is changing. So this graph right here is talking about the median listing price. The median listing price, again, this is all from a national scale. So July 2022, we saw a jump of nearly 17% from the same time last year. So this green line is 2021. So between 2021 and 2022, we saw the median listing price jump up by 16%. That is pretty good if you are a homeowner in terms of value. Now you could see on the lines below, so this graph kind of goes back, is giving like a 6-year kind of a scope that you could see from 2017, this blue line at the bottom, where the median listing price on a national level in July was around 200 and I would say 70-ish $1,000 median listing price. And now July of 2022, that's jumped up to nearly 460,000. And you could see like every year it's gone up and up and up in terms of median listing price. So as a whole, from a national perspective, housing value has definitely almost doubled than what it was pre-pandemic. Okay, so price reduced share. What this is simply stating, hang on, let me read it to refresh my memory. Okay, so in terms of like when a home seller puts their house on the market for a certain price, and then after 2 weeks or so, they get no bites, then they lower it. This is what this graph is showing. So between July of this year, and let's just look at it from between July and June of this year, they saw a nearly 10% increase in price reductions. So between June this year and July, so last month, they saw nearly a 10% increase in people reducing the price of their homes because the market is starting to normalize, and the rate of appreciation that we've been seeing year over year in the seller's market is starting to change. So I believe we're gonna continue to see more price reductions as we enter a more normal market. Let's see. One thing to note too, that I noticed, and I was trying to promise myself I wouldn't forget, is that if you look at the past 6 years, right, it's been a trend from June and July. You see between June and July, the lines are always going up. So we're seeing it. There's always been a price reduction between June and July, in not just this year, but in years past. Remember, these lines up top, the blue, orange, and red, are pre-pandemic. So even pre-pandemic, we were seeing price reductions from June to July, in that time frame. So something cool to kind of note. Let's see. Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. All this is good stuff, really. This is just like answering questions now. So a question I guess I get asked all the time is, now a good time to buy? Now let's look at it in 2 ways, right? So if you're a home buyer and you're looking to buy a home in 3 months or less, I would say yes, right now is a good time to buy, because sellers are offering more incentives in terms of helping you out with closing costs or giving you money at the closing table to help buy down your rate. So those are incentives that we weren't seeing last year because we were in the seller's market and they can get whatever they want, right? On top of that, we're starting to see price reductions, right? So now the cost, so now home sellers who are putting their houses on the market for these crazy prices aren't getting what they thought they could get, because they're still thinking of terms of last year, right? Putting it for top dollar and seeing what happens, right? They're getting no bites, and the longer a house sits, the longer it looks bad for that home, because people start thinking, what's wrong with it? If it's been out on the market this long, and people are obviously passing it up for a good reason. So if you're working for a good realtor, after I would say 2 weeks, you have to do a reassessment on what the current market conditions are, what the current housing trends are looking like, and those are looking like for the most part, from a national scale, prices are being reduced. So yes, if you're looking to buy a home within the next 3 months, I would say now's a good time. Not now's a good time to buy because you have those incentives and to help you out. Now, if you're a home buyer who has a longer timeline and you're looking to buy a home in 3 months or more, I would say the longer you wait, if you can afford to, right? If you're really doing like your homework here months and months in advance, I believe the longer you wait, the more we're going to get into a balanced market. And the more we get into a balanced market, meaning we're going to have plenty of inventory, so you have more options on what to look for. You know, is going to continue to have housing go down in price, right? Because there's more inventory. Meaning, if this is more inventory, then the cost of supply is going to go down. But demand will still remain because of rent increasing. So I think that the health of demand is going to stay the same, but we're going to have more added inventory, right? Let's see, because inventory is on the rise. And my prediction was we will see the home values normalized. Okay, I did cover that. Did you miss the boats to sell your home? So this is for my home sellers. Did you miss the boat to sell your home? I don't think so. I don't think so, especially if you look at it in terms of like, hey, if I've had my home, I've been living it here for like 5, 10, 15 years, you have built up a massive amount of equity. So even if you couldn't get your home for maybe what you could have gotten it last year and you sell it this year, you're still coming out on top. Because I know you've built up plenty of equity to have that cushion, that buffer. So you still come out on top, you still come out with money in the bank, you still made some money on your money, right? And now you could probably, if you're selling your home now, you're probably doing it either upgrade a bigger house, or you have to move, or you maybe got a different job in a different state, or maybe you're going from a very expensive state like California to Austin where it's a little bit cheaper and trying to get more for your buck. Now's a good time to sell, right? So it's all about perspective and how you can change your perspective to fit your circumstances, right? And one thing when it comes to real estate is you need time to be on your side, because if you have time as a constraint, that's gonna ruin your leverage when it comes to buying or selling a home. Now, the next and even bigger question is, if I sell my home, where are you going to move into? If inventory is starting to normalize but still historically low and we're still playing catch up, where are you going to move to next? And if you're going to have to sell your home to move into the next home, now you're going to have that home sale contingency. And we all know that doesn't always look the most attractive when you're putting in an offer. Well, you're in luck, because there is a program out there. Well, it will allow you to put in all cash offer before you even sell your home. Think about that. You have the power of presenting an all cash offer, and you don't even have to sell your current home, and meaning you don't have to have that contingency in your offer to buy your next home. So it's almost like a win-win. That's an awesome program. I've done webinars on that. I will probably link it down below if you guys are interested. I do it with Parker Couch, awesome guy. He explains things like a teacher.